dialed in to Box and Brews, you might hear something
you can use.
like tips on your cash or tips on the suds.
You're gonna want to
The
use,
smarts of these stuff.
because they know the brews.
And they know the box, and they know they can't help the stubborn fucks.
So listen up, because shit's not funny.
And save yourself some
Beer money, bucks,
and brews.
Bucks and
Bucks
and
brews.
brews.
Bucks and Brews.
All right, so we're back on Bucks and Brews. Nick, it's been a whole week.
Long week.
Has been a long
How was
week.
your Thanksgiving?
Holiday week. It was good. We did nothing, literally nothing. We ate dinner. We watched the Bears, which I was rooting against them for a change. They won, of course, because I was rooting against them, and then literally just did nothing. And it was everything I thought it could be.
That's great.
Yes.
Yes,
You?
I actually had to make food for my mom's and stuff like that. But I just went and hung out and my wife had to work, so I had to,
Yeah.
hang out with the kid. And
I think on Thanksgiving you were texting me quite a bit because you were on the phone with Royal Caribbean.
I booked my cruise.
You did book your cruise.
For that. We are officially going to be doing Bucks and Brews on a cruise in October.
Except it might be cervezas and
Pesos.
pesos.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that.
So the most important part.
Yeah, well, real quick. So
go
it
ahead,
might be
yes.
pesos and cervezas, but if you guys can see there, so we got a new logo. It's Pops and Pennies for our
Right.
kids episodes because we're all about the
Love to
youth.
do stuff for the kids.
Oh yeah, it's great. And then say most important part. What do you got?
So I got a Blake Tard Cider Flannel Mouth. And when I get done with that, I'm going back to Arbor Brewing with the Holiday Bake Sale Double Milk Stout.
Oh, and I'm going back to my diet, low carbs. Let's say Michelob Ultra, and after that, I have a Michelob Ultra. So
Now I've heard was it organic?
this one is not.
That one is not
Yeah,
organic.
The white lager is organic.
So
yeah.
you're not organic today.
Nope.
Mm, that's okay.
Straight, chemicals and all.
We have a guest this week.
I'm very excited for this guest.
I am very excited too. We're going to talk about valuation, and I hope I don't slaughter your name. This is Bharat Kanodia. How'd I do?
Perfect. Look at
See?
that. Nailed it. We're 1 for 1, boys.
That's because I have a hard name to pronounce too.
Bharat, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, hey, what is your name?
I meant my last name.
You almost said it too.
No, I'm not giving you my Persian name. Kiss my ass.
You almost said it. Bharat, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you are now, and where you come from.
So, guys, I'm a valuation geek, if you will. I have valued all different kinds of interesting, unique assets. I live in California. I used to live in Wisconsin, and I grew up in New Delhi, India. So I came for my undergrad to Wisconsin-Madison, and my first job out of college was in valuation. Turned out I was half good at it, so I stuck with it.
And so now, out of college, you get a job in valuation. Was that for a large corporation or by yourself?
No, it was definitely for a large company. It was called American Appraisal. At that time, it was the largest, oldest independent valuation firm in the world. And it got acquired in 2015 by Duff and Phelps, which still exists today. So many of the people I grew up with are now working for Duff and Phelps.
Is that who you're working for now in California?
No, I've had my own firm for the last 10 years.
There you go. Let's say congrats. Good for you. What's it like to make the leap?
Very difficult in the beginning, but once you sort of get over the chasm, it is most fun.
You have employees or just you?
Yes, no, I have employees.
There you go. And then is your office near your location?
I work from home,
Okay.
and I have the offshore office. I have an office in New Delhi, India. So
Okay.
I have the offshore arbitrage working for me. But the team that I have in India, they work for me in an office that I own, in a company that I own.
That's great. Yeah. We might have to talk about this maybe off air, but I'm working on opening up a call center or something with a friend of mine who's from here, but went over to live over in places in Europe. And so he's actually going to be opening up a couple of business accounts here. So that way people over there can open US businesses and
We're
stuff.
supposed to have him on, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
All
So I
right.
got to get him here. Really good friend of mine. So I want to know the ins and outs of how to own a business across seas. So,
Multinational.
Absolutely. It's not that difficult. It's no different than having an employee in, say, Florida or New Mexico. You just have to make sure your lines of communication are open. Other than that, it's a lot of fun. You get to travel, and when you get to travel, you write everything off because it's a business travel.
so
What I really want to know, how are you guys going to do the podcast on the cruise? Are you guys taking all your equipment? Because
So we have one of those portable microphone recorders.
yeah.
So we're not actually going to post any of the episodes, but we're going to record every night.
Okay, because that was my next question. Because yes, go ahead. Yes. Because getting access to internet is very expensive, and I know that because my wife bought internet for $80 or something. We went on a
Yep.
cruise, and then she bought it again, and then she bought it again, and then she bought it again. And I'm like, she spent like $400 on stupid internet, and I
Yeah.
didn't use anything.
you're telling me I should get it right now because it's on sale. It's on off.
It is on sale, but I just don't use it.
$20 a day.
$20 a day, that's a steal.
Yeah, I should probably get it then, huh?
I'm not
Actually,
getting it.
I would advise against this because you can then totally punch out. That's why
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
I say we talked a little bit before this. You have kids, and I think one of your kids just asked for a water or a soda there. So I'm gonna my wife. I can go away and be away. I really can. In the back of my mind, like I want to talk to my kid, but like my wife, she needs to FaceTime. She needs to do something with my kids. So probably for the comfort of her,
You
I'll
better have for her.
get her internet if they allow me to buy.
I
for
mean,
one person.
I can tell you right now, when we're docked,
Yeah.
we have free texting, free
Yeah,
2G.
sure.
But if the boat's moving, then we don't have it.
So I'll probably end up buying that really quick before midnight tonight because it's, as I said, it's 20. I've already spent, crap tons of money on this agent.
Where are you guys going?
We are going to Coco Cay,
We're going to Haiti. I know that. I'm
Haiti,
very
and Jamaica.
How long?
7 days.
6 nights.
6
Yeah.
nights. Nice. That sounds like fun.
It's gonna be a good time.
This is my first cruise. David's second.
My second, my wife's third or fourth, I don't know. My daughter's second.
Yeah.
Mike's third.
My wife's first. Yeah, I say. And we've been talking about cruising. It's funny because when my wife and I talk about doing a new thing, so like when we first went to our first all-inclusive, we're like, we should do this, and we were like, we don't have passports. And then by the time it comes, we never got our passports. And finally, like we got our passports, and then like a year later, booked our all-inclusive, right? And like we've been talking about this cruise, and I'm like 4 years, and I get so excited, and then we look at the price, and it's just ridiculous. And I'm like, we can just go to Florida, we can go to Texas or New York or California or whatever we want to do. And then finally I was like, she's like, I don't know, because we're going to Florida in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go on a cruise in 2 weeks. And she's like, they close kid stuff. And it seems like there's always an excuse. So finally I was like, skip it. They're already going. It's booked. Boom, here I'm booking it. And I didn't even use the vacation. I used my money. I was like, now you have no choice. So if she doesn't go, I don't care. I'm still going, right?
Hey, you'll have free drinks and free food the entire time.
Yeah. So when you do, sorry, back to you, because we talk about us all the time.
All the time.
Evaluation of businesses. Why is it important? And is it just businesses that you're valuing, or are you what are you putting evaluation on?
So I'm one of the few people in the country who can value tangible assets like a factory or a copper mine or a dam, all the way to the other side of the spectrum, intangible assets like a patent or a trademark, and things in the middle like entire companies, startups, big, small, what have you. And most people in my world, they don't do that. They silo themselves into doing one type of a asset. So they might say, I only value commercial real estate for tax purposes. I call bullshit on that notion because they do that because that's all they've done. That's all they know. And they want to grow. I, on the other hand, was bred to value all kinds of interesting, unique assets. And my boss, anytime they had something weird, they'd call me in. Hey, what would you do about this? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, figure it out. So that's how my career got started. And I'm very proud of it. I mean, I've appraised some unique assets in the world, like Brooklyn Bridge, Alaskan Pipeline, Atlanta Airport, Mirage Casino, Uber, Airbnb. So I throw out these names not to impress you, but to impress upon you
Sure.
that you can put a number on anything.
You valued a bridge. I mean, like the rest of those are awesome, right? But like you valued a bridge. Why?
So valuations are for different purposes, right? Most people think you would value something only for like a deal or a transaction of some kind, right? I mean, believe me, they're not selling that bridge. You can do a valuation for accounting or insurance or taxes or a transaction. So I value the bridges for either insurance or for accounting. So say if a entity spent, say, I don't know, 200 million bucks on building that bridge, say 50 years ago, they put it on the books. Well, it's depreciated over time and now it's worth zero. But is it worth zero? It's not. So, I mean, people are still using that bridge. So you can't say the bridge is worth zero. So it was an exercise to mark up the bridge's value on the entity that owns it.
Okay. Great idea.
Yeah.
That's like a tax loop I just learned. Right there. You say, I'm going to revalue
I
all
don't know
of my
about a tax
properties.
loophole. Look into living benefits of life insurance.
I actually know about it. Yeah, that's a great loophole. A friend of mine is doing it right now. Say with some of his properties. So,
Yeah.
his
A friend of
wife-
mine does that. And I thought he was, one of those insurance salesmen.
Yeah.
Until I sat him down and I grilled him. And I'm like, holy shit, you're not full of shit. He's like, I've been telling you.
So, you said you're from New Delhi, and then you came here for your undergraduate.
Yeah.
All right. So how you grew up over there, and then about what 18 you came over here?
I was 17. I started at Madison, Wisconsin, did my engineering, and went on from there.
Okay. And then you've been here since.
Been here since.
Great. And then do you have a primary house here in California? And what about over at, because of real estate? You have a house over there in New Delhi?
I have a property in India as well, and I have property in the US.
Okay, I say. And do you bring your family back over there when you take your business vacations?
Yeah. I mean, whenever we go, we all go and we all, make a nice vacation out of it. Last time we were there for 6 weeks, and sometimes we're there for 2 weeks. We don't pack light. We travel like, each of us will have like, 2 suitcases. So we generally have like 8 to 10 suitcases whenever the 4 of us go.
Sure. Is your wife like mine? She overpacks. So when you
Yes.
say 8 suitcases, 4 of them are hers.
5.
Yeah.
So she'll have 1 suitcase for shoes,
Just for shoes.
1 suitcase for makeup. She'll have 1 suitcase for gadgets, right? Women need all their gadgets, the hair thing, this and that. And
I'm calling bullshit on you right now.
No,
If anybody has a suitcase for just shoes, it's you and not your wife.
so when I go on vacation, I bring 2 pairs of shoes. Well, 3 sometimes.
Or
One-
4.
No, the ones I'm wearing, my bowling shoes, right? And then
We're not bowling on the cruise.
well,
just, you know.
so I won't bring them. And then I bring a pair of sandals. So like we're leaving in October. So depending on if it's cold, I'll wear my tennis shoes and I'll pack my sandals because they pack small. I'm a big guy. I don't know if you can see that. So when I pack, my wife and my kids, they can pack, all of theirs into a suitcase, and then all of my clothes, because they're 14 times the size of them, take 1 suitcase.
Dude, I just have a little carry on it. Holds all my shit.
Not for 7 days. Can't do it.
No, I mean, I don't pack light either. I'm not one of those guys who's going to say, okay, I'm going to wear the same t-shirt for 3 days or recycle the shirt. I mean, I don't pack light. Like when I travel on a business trip, I take a full suitcase. Like,
Yeah.
I have everything. Because, hey, you show up and, like, hey, there's this moisturizer I like, and that's what I use. So, yeah, it's a little, fancy pants of me, but it's not. It's something you get used to.
Yep.
But I want to know, why do you travel with bowling shoes?
Oh, I'm a bowler. Sometimes I'm a has-been. So I meet up with a bunch of my friends every year, once a year for national bowling. So
Nick is a pretty accomplished bowler.
I'm okay.
Oh.
So like we go to Las Vegas all the time, or to Reno, Nevada. Been to Syracuse, and so most of the time when I'm traveling, it's usually for a bowling tournament of some sort.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you bowl?
I have bowled.
Yeah, so you would use house shoes.
I bowl like twice a year.
Yeah. And so you don't own your own pair of you don't own your own pair of bowling shoes?
No.
And that's it blows my mind that people don't like.
I bowl once every 5 years. I have my own bowling shoes
Right,
and my own ball, but it's Caitlin's ball.
Everybody should have their own shoes. Once you use your own pair of shoes, you'll never go back to using house shoes. And you can get such a good, because it costs, I mean, you're in California. Renting shoes probably cost $5, $10 now.
Easy.
I mean, great. And so like here, you can get bowling shoes online for $20. But if you're going to bowl more than twice in your life and your feet have stopped growing, just buy bowling shoes, right? Because
they're what, $2 at a time?
Well, here they're like $2. I mean, $2.50.
Yeah.
Fairlane's $4.50. Like it's all depending.
Well,
right?
the rich people live out there in Granville.
Well, yeah, but no, I mean, we were in New York and they wanted $10 for shoe rental, and I was, oh my gosh, no, never. I would never rent your shoes that everybody else has put their feet in for $10. Like, I'll go buy a pair. So I went to the pro shop. I said, what do you got? And they're like $50. I was like, deal. Like, take them home. Just not gonna do it. I've bowled, so since I've owned my own pair of shoes, thousands of them. I've worn house shoes once in my life. It was the worst moment of my life. I'd rather bowl in my socks.
So you carry your bowling shoes, but not your bowling ball.
I'll carry so last year I flew first class, which was the most amazing thing ever. I had 2 bowling bags with me, 6 bowling balls. I had all my stuff in my book bag, which I can carry. And then I have my carry-on, which also had that had my bowling shoes, because I can always drill up new bowling balls. I don't care. Granted, they're the more expensive of the things to lose, but I will not lose my bowling shoes. So,
it's funny because I have a bowler. I paid for that bowler.
Yep.
I mean, she's 26 now, but she bowled.
Mhm.
Bowlers are insane about their equipment. They always have anywhere from 3 to 7 balls, usually 2 pairs of shoes.
my first time bowling. But,
You know what I'm like at a tournament.
oh yeah.
3 to 7 balls, at least 2 pairs of shoes, the wrist guards.
Yeah.
Tape for their fingers.
So
I mean, I coach softball, and I mean,
a bat and a ball and a glove.
but I mean, still, our bats are quite expensive. But I spent more on bowling equipment than I ever did on softball equipment.
So, but so yeah. Now, how do you find your customer, right? So when somebody needs something evaluated, how would you find it?
So customers come to me 3 ways. One, the best way is getting a referral through a current client. That's the best compliment, and that's the best way.
Of course.
Second way is getting a referral through my network. So I am fortunate that I have built a great network over time. So I get referrals from friends and people I know. And the third way, something I have worked on quite a bit for the last 2 years, is SEO, or people just find me on Google. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing the podcast, because again, it's just putting your word out there, or content out there. I had spent crazy stupid money on SEO and digital marketing and all that. And all those people who work in those businesses, they're a bunch of crooks. They really are. And after spending $200,000 of my money over 3 years, and I did everything. I did SEO, I did sponsorship, I did conferences, I did this. I mean, you name it, I threw money at it. The result was marginal.
Mhm.
And every time they would come back to me and say, oh, we need content, we need content. I'm like, you motherfucker, why didn't you tell me that 6 months ago before you ate $20,000 of my money?
Yeah.
No, they didn't tell you that 6 months ago. They'll tell you 6 months after when they got you by the ball. So now you got only two options, either leave them or keep paying them a check. And I did that a few times. You think I would learn after one.
No.
And then I discovered that content is king. Rest is all bullshit.
Yeah.
And video content is king of kings. You can't beat video content because video content, you can slice and dice it in so many ways. So I said, the hell with everything else. I'm just going to invest in video content. So that's why I created a YouTube channel. And, many people don't have the education on evaluations. I mean, valuations now affects day-to-day lives.
Mhm.
And people have no idea how that works. And I'm a visual learner. So I figured, I'm going to explain things to people visually. And if you see my videos, they're short. I mean, I'm not, talking for an hour because nobody wants to listen to me for an hour. So I create videos that are 5 minutes. And they're clear and concise and hopefully entertaining.
Yep.
As Mark Twain said, I did not have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead.
So,
And
he was a smart
honestly, I really kind of connect with what Bharat's saying here because my wife owns a business, this.
Yep.
And, we've had people approach us several times about, hey, I want to be your SEO provider, director, whatever you want to call it. And, she always comes to me because I'm the computer guy. And I'm like, yeah, I really don't think that's overly necessary. So, I mean, she did take the plunge. She, had a professional website built. We ran on one she built for a couple of years. She had a professional one built. And everything since that has just been her, whether it's putting out professional photos.
Mhm.
So we have a professional photo shoot here, or videos that we're making when customers are like, hey, yeah, go ahead, pay per session. We don't care. Threw out a TikTok the other day, that'll draw interest. Videos are the best way to get people interested in whatever you're doing.
I say, I don't make videos except for this, right? But like, I have a friend of mine who
You don't make this.
who started real. I'm horrible at technology. I have a friend of mine that started in real estate, and it was 3 years ago. He is now 4 times the amount of what I have, but he was great at, I mean, he was a videographer before he came this, and he'll sign his name and he'll put it backwards and just like it keeps doing the boomerang thing. Just awesome. It draws you in. He gets so many people. He gets investors and he gets things. And I'm over here the old school way, right? I want to shake your hand. I want you to know what you're getting into business with. Like, I very slow and steady. And in the end, it doesn't, like, to me, I want to be bigger, but I also understand that I want to care about every person that I'm doing this with, where him, it's a completely different story, right? So I'm not saying what he's doing is wrong. And every business has a different thing, right? If you're trying to draw a business into break room therapy, you don't need to know everybody, right? I mean, the chances of them coming back 50 times because you've got to know them very slow. Where the chances of people selling me their house every time is going to be something amazing because I get to know them as a person.
Well, I mean, and that's a good question to go to you with, Bharat. So, let's say I open a business and I'm 5 years down the line and I decide I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. What steps do I take to, come to somebody like you that says, all right, what can I get out of this? How do I value my company effectively to make the most for me, but still price it in a range that will sell?
That's a great question. I mean, everybody thinks that the business is worth $1 million at least, or they might go, hey, my neighbor's cousin's wife sold her business for 5x on revenue. So my business is worth at least 10. And, that's how people are thinking about valuations. That's definitely not the case. I tell people that, hey, if you're a business owner, you pay taxes or you get audited every year. Um, Similarly, you should get a valuation every year. And even though what I'm saying is in my self-interest, that does not mean that I'm wrong. Because it's kind of like getting a report card at the end of each quarter or each semester. How do you know how you did? If you got an A or a B, or if you added value, yeah, you're working 60, 80 hours a week, but did you really build value in your company? Well, that's what a valuation scorecard will tell you.
And we talk about that kind of in the credit aspect of things, right? Like you should pull a credit report. And I say at least your type thing, right? So you know if you gained or you know what you have out there. I mean, so knowing what your personal value, right, in the eyes of lending, this is, I mean, I think that's a great idea. I don't do that in my own business, but I didn't know that you should. I mean, granted, I sit and value my stuff quite often to see what the market looks like. So I guess
Yeah, but-
I probably do it and don't even know that it's technically valuing my business.
I know you know basically what your net value is.
For why? Yeah.
Because we're sitting there doing those calculations all the time.
Say way too often. So, now, when you appraise, do you do you do single family houses or strictly larger things? Do you have a minimum, I guess, of what you're looking at to do a valuation of?
I don't do real estate. I used to do real estate in a former life. I used to do commercial real estate, but frankly, real estate valuations doesn't pay for shit. Somebody came to me with a 100-unit apartment building and they wanted to pay me $3,000. I was like, no. So I don't do real estate, but if there's a company or there's a unique asset that pays well, I'll value that, because that's not a cookie cutter type of a valuation. You need somebody to roll up their sleeves and really understand the asset. But if you need something like real estate valuation, I mean, banks pay you what, $500.
Yeah.
That I don't think that's fair for the asset. And nowadays, I mean, there's so much. There's so many factors to consider in a valuation. But it's all about a cookie cutter type of a process. So that's what they do. That's not the sandbox I play in.
Sure.
Well, in looking at some of those companies you mentioned earlier that you did valuations on, so, Uber or Airbnb, were those for essentially their IPOs, or was that for other purposes, or can you even get into that?
Some of them were for IPO and some of them were for investments, pre or post investment. So somebody's looking to make an investment, they want to know what it's worth. And someone has just made an investment, say invested $100 in Uber, say a year ago, and they're like, hey, what is it worth now? Or in some cases, IPO valuations. But I try not to do IPO valuations because those are usually done by underwriters who take them public, like Morgan Stanley. Or
Sure. And so that was one of my questions. Was that's awesome. Yeah, so that now, are you allowed to share your information, or is it like closed? Like,
Proprietary.
right. Yeah. So, I mean, if
No,
they're
I mean, I
public,
can talk about the work I do. I just can't talk specific numbers about any asset, but I can talk about the process of what I went through. There's nothing proprietary there.
So how do you, like, what are your starting points? So, I have XYZ company, I come to you. What do you need from me?
I will look for a few things. So say if you have a running business, I'll be looking for, hey, give me a copy of your books, or, many small businesses are not running their books properly. So I'll just say, hey, give me access to your QuickBooks or whatever system you got, or give me a copy of your couple of years of tax returns. let's start from there. Let's start from the basics and let's build from there. So from there, I'll be asking you questions about your payroll, about your expenses, about your customers, about your product, where you're going from there. Again, depending on the size of the company. So I tell people I'm like a vet, a dog, a horse, a frog, a fish, an alligator, it's all the same, right? I mean, they all need help, but they all have different problems. So, I can't be asking, a fish that, hey, have they changed the water recently? The same thing, if somebody owns a dog, I have to ask a different set of questions. So, different horses for different races, if you will.
So now, real quick, would you agree, I guess, with the following thing, or is this how it would work? So when I think, let's just say DoorDash came out before Grubhub. Now, could you take a valuation? Could I go say, hey, Grubhub is going right, DoorDash is going right now. Grubhub hasn't started. They say, hey, I want to grow a business like this. What do you think the valuation of something like this is? I might be interested in opening a business like that. Is that something I could do with somebody like you? And is it allowed?
Yeah, why not? Yes, most definitely. I mean, we live in America. Everything is allowed unless it's not allowed.
Say, it's easier to ask for forgiveness. That's always my.
Yeah.
I tend to deal with that in both professional and personal.
So
it always works better that way.
sure. It's like, if you're gonna mimic somebody,
So you're gonna have Nick Dash or Uber Nick?
oh my god, what was it? Dior de, say Dior de Shea. Yeah. When you look at, I don't remember who it was. I want to say it was Bill Gates, right? He said, if you want what others have, do exactly what others did, right? And you will beat that process. So, in real estate, I have a mentor. I got very fortunate in that. And so I look at it and go, hey, if I want his lifestyle, I have to do what he did. Granted, he keeps me really low and slows me down and tells me I'm stupid all the time. It's great. I love Walt. So, right? Like, because, I only seen, let's say 650 units, right? And I'm over here at like 2 at the time. And I'm like, if I want what he has, like I have to do what he did. And I'm like, and then he's telling me, no, don't go to the ghetto and buy the cheap properties. Don't do it. You're gonna hate yourself. Don't do it. And I'm like, how did you get rich? And he's like, well, I bought the ghetto property. like, don't tell me not to do it. And he goes, no, you're gonna be so much more successful when you do it this way. And I'm like, all right. So, think about it. If you own 300 great properties versus my 650 shit properties, like you're gonna have the same outcome. I'm like, all right, it just takes a long time to learn that lesson. And I didn't make the mistake of going into there's been a million times I've been off a million transactions, and even though the numbers look great on paper, everything about it, I just haven't.
Well, and this is the thing I found in every work aspect I've had, whether it's been finances or coaching or even, business life. If you can find great mentors, you can really succeed in what you're doing. Bharat, did you have any great mentors that, really helped guide you through this?
Honestly, no. I am too bullheaded to accept a mentor. But now I'm 42, and now I feel I should get one. Because what happens is that you get to a point in your life and you're like, wait a second, I need some help here. What should I do in this situation? And you know what your brain is telling you, but you're like, well, maybe I should try something different. So
Well,
now I feel like one.
You're close to my age, so you're going to get to that point where you're going to end up being the mentor to everybody else.
When you want to hire us, let us know. I work from home.
So do I.
No, it's, I look at it and say, you don't have to be my mentor in the exact field that I'm in, right? You were talking about, hey, everybody came back to you and said, do videos, content. So, right? You could look for a mentor in how to make better content, right? It doesn't have to be specifically, right? I'm slow in real estate because I follow what he does. And when I go to Walt and I say, hey, Airbnb, he's like, I don't know a damn. He's like, I can't help you. And I go, hey, I'm gonna go to storage units. He's like, never done it. Like, good luck, right? He goes, I'll help you figure out. Like, you know how to do a purchase agreement. You know how to do this. Like, you know how to run numbers. Like, I can't help you. You know, hey, I just found a place that has 24 units with 5 commercial below it. Awesome, 24 units I can do. 5 commercial. I'm not kid, right? and you know, so you don't have to, in my opinion, you don't have to have a mentor, just one mentor. It doesn't have to specifically be in your field, right? Like, I know right now, I was just talking to a friend of mine who's struggling in his life. He's like, I'm getting depressed and I just shut down. And he wants to get into real estate. And I'm like, look, kid, you know, you're going to have these moments. Like I've been at a low point. Like, you have to understand that finding people that know what you're going through, what you've gone through. Like, you say, hey, I've been searching for a deal for 2 years, and you just feel beat up and you feel lost. Like, we've all been there, right? Like, I'm 11 years into this game. You know, and 10 years in, I was like, I haven't done anything. Like, I feel like a failure. And looking back, like, I don't know, I have a great kid that I'm raising. Like, you have to look at other aspects of things to not focus on one specific. So I think a mentor, whether it's mental health, whether it's anything, you can always find somebody that can help you in something, whether they're a mentor or whether they're just a person that you've hired to give you advice. Like, so, now, what's the greatest thing you've ever done an evaluation on? I'm thinking.
I have appraised all the forests owned by the U.S. Forest Service.
All of them.
Yeah, so there's Department of Interior. Under Department of Interior, there's U.S. Forest Service.
Yeah.
There's National Park Service separately. So I have appraised all the forests, all the wilderness areas, everything owned by the U.S. Forest Service. I would have loved for them to pay me to go and inspect all these forests, but we did a sample inspection of 3 or 4 forests and sort of said, okay, well, we'll extrapolate from there. But because if I had appraised them, I would have probably taken a good 10 years. Not a bad way to live.
It seems horrible, right?
I would have probably charted out my journey, started in the summer and spring in Montana, and then, come down to Florida by December, take a couple of months off after that, do that for 10 years. And then you got your, appraisal for the U.S. Forest Service. But no, it was, most of it was done desktop, but we did some sample studies. So, but that was a lot of fun. That was very different. I mean, how many times in your life you get to appraise forests?
I have 0.
Yeah, none.
Really?
Yeah.
Surprises me.
Shocking.
All right, now, because I have interest, when you appraise these forests, you get to appraise like the trees that are on them. So, like California, you have redwoods, right? We don't have them in the Midwest. I mean, do you value the trees themselves, or just the land, like everything that's on it? Like, now you have my interest.
The land, the trees, the bathrooms, the roads, everything.
Great. All right. And
Campsites.
then, what's that? I'm sorry.
The campsites.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
I think we're in the wrong
That
business.
would have been a fun thing to do.
Yeah, that would have been.
Say. All right. What's the strangest thing you've ever got?
Strange.
Anybody brought you a 1950s or sorry, not 1750s head that's a skull or something?
A head.
So I don't do like art or gems of jewelry or unique assets like that. But I'm also on the board of American Society of Appraisers. So if you come to me with something weird, if I can't help you, I can get you the best appraiser in the country. But one of the weirdest things I appraised was the I Love New York campaign. I Love New York. It's on T-shirts everywhere. People think that campaign is owned by the city of New York. It's not. It's owned by the state of New York. And I have valued that campaign.
Rough numbers, I guess. Can you give us what is that?
9 digits.
Really? It's just amazing. That is All for a slogan, let's call it. That's just great. Um, and now you do new things on a daily, weekly basis then?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm working on a small chain of grocery stores in Carolinas. They have about 17 stores between North Carolina and South Carolina, and they're selling it. So they brought me in to help them value it.
Sure. Um, let's see. And now do you get to fly there and take a look at them hands-on? Or
Sometimes I do. Depends on the projects. Like right now, I'm also working on a operation that provides stock hens and roosters for breeding, and they sell these roosters and hens to 11% of the chicken producers in the country. So they have a decent sized market share.
Sure.
So I am valuing their intellectual property around breeding chickens.
Sure.
And there I said, hey, I have to visit your farm. I need to understand the process because I can't do it remotely.
Are you at any point worried about your employees learning what you know and starting their own? Or is that a concern of yours? Or my next question, I mean, do you make them sign NDAs or anything like that?
We make them sign NDAs, but you can't put somebody in a cell. So people learn. I mean, of course, you hire smart people, and then you expect them to be stupid. It doesn't work like that. So yeah, you're gonna hire smart people, and they're gonna do smart things. And hey, and if people figure out how to do weird and interesting things, that's fantastic. Good for them. This, as I said, there's no trade secret here. My secret is I always follow the fundamentals, or I don't take my eyes off the ball of the basics of valuations.
Sure.
That's why it doesn't matter what you throw at me. I can look at it from a unique perspective because I never lose sight of what's important.
Say, and what do you value David at?
A lot.
I'm gonna say $10.
That's the right answer, because I was gonna say about 45 cents.
Value yourself lower than me. No, it's this is a really great subject for me. I really enjoy it. What is the best thing about what you do, and what is the worst thing about?
I mean, the best thing about me, my work is I get to evaluate all different kinds of businesses, and I'm not just on the surface. I get to dig deep. I get to peel the onion until I can't peel anymore.
Sure.
That's the level of information I need to do my job right. And the worst thing about my business is motivating employees. I mean, that's a pain in the ass. I mean, seriously, if I could just do a real estate portfolio sometimes, I mean, you don't need to motivate anybody there. At least for the most part, you don't.
I can have an educated conversation about that. That's kind of so. I have contractors that constantly leave, and I look at my tenants as kind of employees, right? Like I pay them with housing, they pay me to live in the housing. But one thing I do is at least once a year I give them a thank you gift for being with me, right? So 1 year I gave them a 1 gallon jug with Kool-Aid and like 4 glasses, and said, hey, let's have a great summer, thank you so much for being with me. You can make the homemade popsicles, right, with like the 4 sticks, so kind of the same aspect. Hey, a big jug pitcher type thing so you could add water to it, things like that. Holidays I'll send out cards, or for Christmas or whatever, just a card that says, hey, just let you know, thank you so much for living in my place. I really appreciate all that you've done for me. It's not necessarily, it has to, like, in the back of my mind, I know for a fact that I'm doing it because I want them to pay or do whatever, but I also want them to know I appreciate them as people, right? And it's funny because I talk to a lot of owners and they're like, well, why do your tenants do this? And I'm like, because I go above and beyond for the most part, right? Like I let them know I actually give them, right? Don't tell anybody I actually care. I tell people I care all the time. But, say motivating employees, it's one of the hardest because there's people say that nobody's untrainable. And I think that's a very true statement, or uncoachable, untrainable. I just think and that's why we started this podcast. We were talking about that kind of beforehand. People learn different from different, right? You can't teach everybody the same because they just don't understand it, right? My wife, when she does a math question, I think her mindset of thinking is completely different than mine, and I appreciate that. So, when we talk, like there's times where I can have a conversation with somebody, you're like, I have no idea. My wife will literally just say like 10 words of my 4-hour sentence, and they're like, oh yeah, I completely get that. Like, how? Why? Right?
So when COVID hit,
Yep.
did you have to pivot the company at all, or were you already remote at that point?
We were all remote, but for the first 3 months, we were dead in the water.
Mhm.
From mid-March through mid-June, it was like, holy crap, how is this going to work? But then we started to get some wind. Things started to pick up, people were starting getting back to normal, and then slowly more and more. And now it's, I wouldn't say normal, but it's getting there.
Sorry, I'm writing questions as we go because I have so many. So let's say you're doing evaluation, right? So you're talking about these supermarkets, right? You're thinking about getting rid of them. Local, it's not a. So you're in California, so you know Walmart. So it's not a Walmart. It's just a local grocery store.
They have bonds there.
They have what?
Bonds.
Bonds? I've only been to Carolinas.
At least they have them in LA. I don't know if they're in all of California, but they're in LA.
So these small ones. Now, let's say you're doing evaluation on this, right? And you find out that it's worth way more than these people have offered. Do you know what the offer is from the other person?
Most times they don't tell me, but I know.
So now, my question is there a way that is there any way that you're allowed to offer on something that you're doing evaluation on?
Yeah, I don't think there's any conflict of interest there.
And why don't you? So you said you're strictly this. You got into the real estate game. Have you not thought about buying something that's just a great valuation that somebody, like if a deal fell through, let's say, and you know that it's worth something?
Most
Why
time
have
if
you
the
not?
deal falls through, it's not because of the asset itself. It's probably because of the nature of the buyer or the seller.
Sure.
Because so business deals are different than real estate, because when you buy real estate, right, you write the guy a check and the guy walks away and you take the ownership of the asset 100%. In a business deal, as in when you buy or sell a business, M&A, the seller doesn't get to walk away 100%, unless they're selling stocks or something.
Sure.
The seller still has skin in the game because a business is a living and breathing object. If you don't take care of your real estate portfolio for a month, there might be some damage here and there, but nothing's going to be terribly wrong. But if you don't take care of a business for a month, well, major things can happen. You can lose your entire business.
Oh yeah. So like say, and I deal with that quite often. So I'm looking at buying a marina right now, in an area that I really want. So,
I have a feeling I know where.
yeah, of course you do. And so right, like I'm looking to buy a business, and it is a completely different transaction, right? One, I'm going to have the owner try to stay on for at least another year to teach me everything about it. Also, of course, I'm going to have to get my own sailboat and have days off. And my wife can't say anything about it. That's really the only reason I'm buying a marina, so I can have a sailboat. Say, she won't let me buy a slip, but I could buy 140 of them. Say, but Now, so let's go to the marina. So if I were to go buy a marina, what are the things that you would give me as a buyer advice on doing before I go put my exact offer in?
Get a list of the people who are renting those slips and understand how many of those slips have been rented for how long. The longevity of the renter is very important. I mean, of course, the cash flow and all that, you're smart enough to figure that out, but
Don't say that. I'm pretty dumb.
I mean, I'll be looking at the longevity of those 140 slips of renters and what kind of boats they have.
Sure.
And if they pay on time, and are they good renters, and how long they have been there, because it's truly passive income. The boat just sits there. So you should have, it's almost like having a self-storage facility. So similar to that, right? I mean, people just keep paying and charging their card without really worrying about it. That's the kind of business you want. So it's a great business, I think.
Thanks. I'll say I'm hoping too. I have concerns with, of course, I have value add things, and I have concerns, with. So right now they're very hands-on, right? They'll help you dock a lot of like people that if you do get flips, they'll help you dock those types of things. Currently, they actually have family doing that, and family wants to stay on, but of course they pay the family just an astronomical amount of money to do this. I'm like, yeah, no. It's like I'll go tie a line for no money. So I'm trying to figure out, what his actual value is. I've talked to a couple of my friends that I know that have done a few marinas and things. And then again, I don't know maintenance of the crane, right? I have to take a boat out of the water. It's not like, so where we sail is in Holland, right? So you're from Wisconsin, so just across the water. We sail up to Muskegon, take the boat out there, right? Because we don't have enough. We draw too much, right? It's too deep. And so I have to get all that type of things figured out because, I understand the money aspect of things. I understand the slips. I don't understand the actual functioning physical labor of it.
I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think you should worry about that. I think if you follow the money, you can't go wrong. And you seem like a smart guy. Seriously, I wouldn't worry about it. I would worry about the type of renters you have, because you have 140 of them.
Yeah,
and
139. I'm getting about.
So just make sure that they, how long they've been there, because
Sure.
People who have boats, they love their boats until they figured out that they don't like them so much.
Sure.
Um,
Boat stands for breaking another 1,000.
I've heard that the best day of your life is the day you buy your boat. And the second best day of your life is the day you sell it.
Yeah. So, really
so-
hoping for like one for me.
What other questions do you have besides your boat?
He was gonna ask a question.
No, guys, I have another call at
Mhm.
4:30. I'm already late for, but
Okay.
no, but this was a great conversation. Thank you again for having me.
We're gonna give a shout out to Bharat on all of his social media and every contact we have for you. If we're missing anything, Bharat, go ahead and drop me a message. We'll get that all listed for you.
That'll be great. And in the show notes, if you can put two of the links,
Absolutely.
awesome. Do you have my YouTube account?
I do.
And do you have my let's see, and my website, verystrat.com?
I will make sure I find it.
All right, so let me send you that link right now.
Absolutely.
Sure. So everybody, say we're wrapping this up real quick. Bharat, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for teaching us valuation. People wouldn't think you're valuing a forest, and normally, because I'm so close-minded in the fact of real estate, right? Like, or stocks itself. Like, I understand that. Really, this was a very fun conversation. I'd love to have you on. But
We'll finish what we do after Bharat goes because he has to go.
yeah,
So
say like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. Please, get everybody out there. This was a great episode.
thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much. And I have, David, I have dropped a link in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you so
are
much.
we connected on LinkedIn?
I don't think we are, but I will definitely come and find you.
Nice meeting you guys.
Nice
as well.
meeting you
Take
too.
care.
Bye.
So we're gonna keep talking here for a minute because I really enjoyed this. This went way better than expected, I think. And I mean, kind of with our guests.
Yeah.
I'm never really sure what to expect, and this is one of my favorites.
Honestly, like I
I could talk to him all day.
really enjoyed myself.
I did too.
Like, there's a million questions I have still, and I'd love to have them on.
And we might have to have him on again.
Next time we'll have to actually be business professional and get real questions like lined up. You can end Zoom.
No, I'm pulling up the chat here to make sure I
There you
have
go.
this. I'm not, because we haven't said everything we need to say yet.
Oh yeah.
So we kind of have to finish the episode before we can just,
no, you know what? No. Michelob Ultra, thank you so much for the tasty beer that goes in my belly.
Blake's Hard Cider, the Flannel Mouth. It's not my favorite Blake's, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And then Arbor Brewing with their holiday bake sale double milk stout. They loved the tweet we put out last week because I said we were drinking that.
There you go.
They love that. So next week,
Yeah.
we are going to have a TikTok star on.
Next week we are a TikTok star.
We are. So they wrote a whole article in BuzzFeed about her.
Yep.
And she's going to talk about what millennials really want out of their jobs.
She doesn't know what I want.
It's not avocado toast.
You don't know that.
I do. So for this week, this episode at least is over. So we will let you go from there. But we
Yeah.
might do another episode, or we might hop on TikTok Live. So
Say, and we're talking about that. So
Yeah.
if you guys want to follow us on TikTok, we're actually going to have some content that
Yeah.
we're going to start offering to people.
yeah. So we have a Patreon up that we're trying to enlighten people with different things and make a little bit of money out of that. And we're going to post every TikTok Live we do that is Bucks and Brews centric. The Patreon, it's $1 a month.
Yeah.
If you want to check out that exclusive content, we have some other things on there.
And
You
if,
want some merch? We have merch options on there.
and if you don't have $1 a month, guess what? You need to watch.
Yeah,
We're gonna
just
give you
watch
that
us on
$1 a month.
TikTok Live, and then you'll just see us there.
Well,
And
not just that, but we're going to get you that $1 a month. Because we're going to teach you how to budget for
Hell yeah,
$1 a
we
month,
are.
Right? Like, let's say, we're not asking for $100 a month. We're not doing an Ipsy bag for $10 a month. We're doing $1 a month just to get some amazing content. And because we're still really small, if you have questions, direct message us. We're going to give you great information right on hand, right?
And honestly, if there's anything we're good for, it's information. We have a lot of it, and we love to share it. So for all of you that have joined us, thank you for this week's episode, and we will talk to you
Next week.
or in a few minutes. I guess it depends on where you're at.
To be honest. So you're probably going to listen to this in a few minutes.
Yeah. So thanks again.
You've dialed in
To Bucks and Brews, you might hear something
you can use.
like tips on your cash or tips on the suds.
You're gonna want to
The
use
smarts of these
because
stuff.
they know the brews.
And they know the Bucks, and they know they can't help the stubborn fucks.
So listen up, cause shit's not funny.
And save yourself some
Beer money, bucks,
and brews.
Bucks and
Bucks and brews.
brews.
Bucks and Brews.